Bergen-Belsen concentration camp, April 15, 1945. The gates don't creak open, they groan. Hinges walked by rust, war, and death. As British troops push into Bergen-Belsen, no one speaks. Not the soldiers. Not the corpses. Just wind, howling across a wasteland of twisted bodies and barbed wire. The stench is unreal. Not just decay. It's soaked into the earth. Into the air. Into the walls. Private Leonard Thompson vomits behind a collapsed watchtower. He's seen war. Grenades. Burnt-out tanks. Screaming men torn apart. But not this. Not stacked bodies, hollowed eyes still open. Not the black pits where crematoriums hissed just days earlier. His rifle slips slightly in his grip. Not from fear. From paralysis. Then they see him. Standing near a row of barracks, wearing his full SS uniform, untouched, unbothered, is a man lighting a cigarette with shaking hands. He makes no attempt to run. No excuses. His name is Josef Kramer. He gazes at the arriving soldiers like they're tourists interrupting his shift. His face is waxy. Calm. Expressionless. They don't know who he is yet. Not what he's done. Not how many screamed under his command. But they will. Because Bergen-Belsen is just the start. Auschwitz. Treblinka. Majdanek. The gates are opening. And behind them, the monsters are either waiting to be dragged out, or already gone. Nuremberg courtroom, December 1946. A gavel cracks through the silence like a rifle shot. The Nuremberg trials are underway. Inside this cavernous courtroom, justice creaks forward, slow, fragile, burdened by the weight of 6 million dead. The defendants sit like statues. Empty stares. Pressed uniforms. Among them, Rudolf Höss, former commandant of Auschwitz. His hands tremble as he reads from his confession. His voice, barely above a whisper. I personally oversaw the extermination of 2.5 million people. A pause. Not a sound in the chamber. No cough. No shuffling of paper. Even the translators hold their breath. Outside the courtroom, chaos. Smoke still rises from smoldering cities. The war is over, but the reckoning has only just begun. Soldiers dig up mass graves in Poland. Survivors stagger out of silence, clutching names, photos, and memories the world doesn't know how to carry. But while a few Nazi leaders are shackled in court, others are already miles ahead, slipping past borders, through crumbling networks, into new lives. South American dock, 1947. A freighter unloads in Buenos Aires. Cargo crates clank. A man in a cheap suit steps onto the pier. His documents read, Carlos Schultz. But that's not his name. Not really. It's Franz Stangl, former commandant of Treblinka. The architect of mass murder walks into the Argentine night, calm, unnoticed, free. The world wants justice. But justice is slow. And war criminals are faster. As tribunals gather evidence, the ratlines begin to flow. And in the shadows, the hunt begins. Vienna, 1947. The light flickers. A cracked bulb swings above stacks of papers, names, photographs, lists typed in shaking hands. In the middle of the room sits Simon Wiesenthal. Survivor. Architect. Now, Nazi hunter. He isn't armed. But his desk is a battlefield. Pinned to the wall, dozens of faces. Some smug. Some blank. Some in uniform. One circled in red, Josef Mengele. Doctor. Torturer. Ghost. Wiesenthal speaks to no one. Just whispers. He's in Argentina. I can feel it. Outside, the world wants to forget. People want normalcy. Rebuild. Move on. But Wiesenthal, he collects memory like bullets. Each name he finds is a man still walking free. A man still breathing. Polish farmhouse, 1946. A knock. 3 men enter. One of them is Rudolf Höss, hiding under the name Franz Lang. He's been living with his family, pretending to be a gardener. But someone talks. A Polish officer recognizes his face. There's no chase. No gunfire. Just cold silence as Höss is shackled and taken. 2 weeks later, he's standing under a gallows at Auschwitz. The very camp he ran. The scaffold is built beside the crematorium. Poetic justice. The rope tightens. The body drops. Others run. Some succeed. Some vanish into convents, monasteries, villas with sympathetic hosts. But now, hunters are forming. Not armies. Not governments. Survivors. Journalists. Partisans. Driven by nightmares that never sleep. First contact has been made. 1 SS commander falls. Hundreds remain. Berlin, secret CIA safe house, early 1950s. A briefcase drops onto a table. Dust rises. Inside, files. Black and white photos. Stamped names. XSS. Waffen-SS. Specialist in interrogation. The American agent lights a cigarette. He doesn't flinch as he flips the dossier. He's useful, he says. Knows how to extract information. Knows the Russians. Across post-war Europe, a quiet deal is being made. Former SS officers aren't just fleeing, they're being recruited. By both sides. Soviets. Americans. British intelligence. The Cold War is taking root, and suddenly, yesterday's monsters are today's assets. But not everyone forgets. Israeli agents gather around a map of South America. Threads connect cities. Names. Movements. Disappearances. At the center, Josef Mengele. The angel of death. Wanted for butchering twins, injecting chemicals into children's eyes, and vanishing into the jungle without a trace. Brazil. Or Paraguay, one whispers. He's changing identities like boots. Streets of Buenos Aires, 1960. A man steps off a bus. Middle-aged. Narrow face. Fake glasses. Name, Ricardo Clement. Real name, Adolf Eichmann, mastermind of the final solution. He walks freely. Works at a car plant. Plays chess with his sons. No one questions him. But he's being watched. Not by police. By Mossad. They wait. For weeks. Then strike. A sudden ambush. A black bag. A scuffle in the night. No sound. No mistakes. Eichmann vanishes from Buenos Aires. And somewhere, deep in the jungle, Mengele watches the news. Sweating. Silent. The hunters are closing in. But the game is now global. And justice is running uphill. In courtroom, Jerusalem, April 1961. A wall of glass separates him from the crowd. Cameras flash. Scribbled notes fill reporters' pads. The defendant, Adolf Eichmann, stands stiff in his cage. Black suit. Blank expression. He listens to the charges like someone else is on trial. His voice is icy. I followed orders. But the courtroom shakes with fury. Survivors shout. A woman faints. A man sobs uncontrollably as he recounts the cattle cars, the gas chambers, the silence of the world. This isn't just a trial. It's a reckoning. But for every Eichmann, a dozen others still walk in freedom. Cairo, 1970s. A tourist snaps a photo. In the background, a tall, elderly man exits a bank. No one notices. No one asks. It's Aribert Haim, Dr. Death. He lives under the name Tarek Hussein Farid. He prays at mosques. Hides in plain sight. Mossad gets close. But he slips away. Again. Walter Roth, inventor of the gas van, living comfortably in Chile. Klaus Barbie, the butcher of Leon, protected by Bolivian intelligence. Franz Stangl, finally arrested in Brazil. During interrogation, he shrugs. My conscience is clear. I was just doing my job. German courtroom, 1971. Stangl is sentenced to life. He dies 6 months later. In his cell. Peacefully. The chaos isn't in combat. It's in the staggering imbalance. Some are dragged to justice under floodlights. Others slip away through embassy doors, back alleys, and forged passports. The war is long over. But the hunt is more dangerous than ever. Because now, the world is watching. Brazil, murky beachfront, February 1979. Waves crash violently in the distance. A man in swim trunks stumbles into the surf, alone, silent, pale. His breathing shortens. Then, he stiffens. Falls. The body washes up moments later. Locals say it was a stroke. No ID. Buried under a false name, Wolfgang Gerhard. But the teeth, perfect match. It's Josef Mengele. The angel of death. No trial. No verdict. No face-to-face with his victims. He dies free. In the sun. Bolivia, police headquarters, 1983. Another one finally falls. Klaus Barbie, the butcher of Leon, arrested after decades of hiding in plain sight. His past protected by Cold War politics, now exposed. He smirks through the cameras. His face gaunt, his eyes calculating. During trial, he remains defiant. Never confesses. Never apologizes. But behind that smirk is panic. The walls are closing in. Vienna, Simon Wiesenthal's basement archive. Filing cabinets line the walls. Photographs, folders, maps. Many names crossed out. But not all. Wiesenthal stands in the dark, breathing heavily. He lifts a single photo, blurred, faded. Another SS officer still unaccounted for. This one, still out there. It's not a victory. It's a moment. Justice isn't triumphant. It limps. And in its final hours, it must decide. How much truth is worth chasing? When time is almost gone. The last stand isn't always in blood and fire. Sometimes, it's in courtrooms, whispers, and fading memories. But it still counts. Auschwitz-Birkenau, winter. Frost clings to the iron gate. Albeit marked Frei hangs crooked above the entrance. The wind cuts across the field like a whisper from the past. No voices. Just footsteps crunching on snow. A school group walks through the ruins. Teenagers. Quiet. Holding hands. No one jokes. No one speaks above a murmur. They pass the remnants of barracks, brick chimneys standing like broken teeth. Their guide gestures toward the crematorium ruins. Her voice trembles. This is where they burned them. She doesn't need to say who they are. The facts remain. Over 4,500 SS personnel worked in Auschwitz alone. Fewer than 1 in 10 were ever prosecuted. Many lived full lives. Raised families. Attended church. One became a doctor. Another, a businessman. A few became informants, shielded by governments that once vowed justice. Document archive, Berlin. Rows of boxes. Folders sealed. Files stamped, classified. Historians still dig. Some pages remain missing. Some names never uncovered. But the search continues. Not because the guilty are still alive, but because memory is the last battlefield. Israel, Simon Wiesenthal Center. His name is etched in stone. Beneath it, justice, not vengeance. Wiesenthal is gone. But his legacy hunts still. Through investigators, archivists, educators, every person who refused to let the smoke erase the names of the dead. Justice didn't win every battle. But silence didn't either. Because the moment we forget is the moment they win again. If this story moved you, don't let it end here. Share this video. Let others see what justice looks like when it fights to breathe. Subscribe for more untold truths from the shadows of World War II. And help us keep memory alive, one name, one voice, one story at a time. Because silence lets monsters disappear. But truth? Truth leaves footprints.